Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial for my light and cheerful arrangement of the hymn For the Beauty of the Earth. In this tutorial, I'm going to go over any potential trouble spots and offer up some insight into my thinking as the arranger. I feel kind of like a broken record when I say that this is one of my favorite melodies in all of hymnody. It's one of my favorite hymns, the text and the tune together. In all of hymnody, I mean, it's not a bad thing to feel like a broken record saying that, right? Because I'm arranging the kind of music that I love, and this is one of those. I have always loved this hymn. We didn't really sing it much at all growing up in my church. I think I sang it a few times, especially as a kid, because it talks a lot about creation and nature, and I think it was used as part of our children's Sunday school curriculum. So it wasn't totally new to me, but we didn't sing it in what we call big church, and so it was really the movie Little Women with Susan Sarandon and Christian Bale and all of them, Kirsten Dunst, that it really kind of came back to life for me, and I was reintroduced to the song. And because of that, I've always kind of associated this hymn with the season of Christmas and of winter and snow and all of that. So while it's not a Christmas hymn, I've always kind of felt about it that it was a kind of a Christmassy hymn. So it always had a very light and cheerful kind of feel for me. And so I wanted to communicate that in my arrangement. That's why you get the faster tempo and you get these rocking back and forth, fifths and fourths, kind of harmonization, and that's the reason for it. And that was my thinking behind it, was that it would have that kind of light, fast-paced, high energy, but like not heavy and virtuosic, but definitely light and joyful kind of feel to it. So as you're playing it, keep it light, keep it fun. Don't get too heavy about it, but keep the tempo up. It's obviously too fast, but I mean, if you wanted to play it that way, that tempo, go for it. But you get the idea. It's like little elves bouncing on the snow. Okay, it's really pretty self-explanatory at the first parts. It's when you get to measure 21 that really the biggest challenge of this song is first introduced, and that's these parallel sixths, where you have the interval of a sixth played in your right hand consecutively. And looking at the page, it doesn't seem so difficult. And in fact, you could play it like this, and it's really not difficult. But obviously, it sounds like a robot is playing it, because you're playing it like a robot would. You're fixing your hand in the shape and just moving it around like that, like it's making a product in an assembly line. And you don't want it to sound like that when you perform it. So it's a subtle thing. It's something that the audience would never know that you did. But if you haven't developed this technique, it's really worth the effort. It requires a lot of finger strength and independence. It requires some forethought. It requires some practice. But if you do the fingering correctly, you can accomplish a legato sound with those parallel sixths. And the way to do it, the idea is that you're trying to keep as many, you're trying to utilize your fingers consecutively as much as possible. So if I go back and forth between, say, these two sixths, you can see that I'm going 1, 2 fingers and 4, 5 fingers. And it sounds very legato. If I did it like this, it sounds very choppy. But if I were to go up another one, now I've run out of fingers. I don't have a sixth finger. So I would work my fingering like this to where the pinky has to release and go up another note to the A, but at least on the bottom side, my thumb can go under and maintain a legato sound. So with parallel sixth, that's kind of the compromise you're making. If at least one, either the bottom or the top note, can be played with consecutive fingers, then it's going to sound like they're legato. And then you can give that phrase a musical shape. So I offer up in this notation fingering at these sections where there's parallel sixths that will get your hand in position to do that. I don't spell it all out for you. You can do that, and everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's hand shape and what's comfortable for them and hand size all affect these things. But I at least offer up some fingering that if you were to play these first notes here, the G and the B, and measure 21, you would be in position to play the rest of them legato. So if I start here like this, then I'm able to play it like that. It does, however, get tricky when you get to, say, the measure 52, the end of this instrumental section, and it looks messy here. In the sheet music that you would have purchased and downloaded, I would have cleaned this up. But here I am working out what that fingering is, and I just haven't reprinted it. But here, like in this section, this little rundown with the flats, you're getting a little flip over like this. Oops. So I have that all spelled out in the notation. You'll see that on your copy. But those seem like small things, and they are small things. It's a subtle thing to work out the fingering, but it's a big thing in how it sounds to the listener. And so I encourage you to not overlook that, and to make sure you're able to play those parallel sixths smoothly and expressively. There's one run here at measure 68. It comes after this quiet verse, and it's your right hand building up into the last chorus. And then I have you playing a 5 and a 4 finger here. The reason for that is that it sets you up for measure 69 here, so that all those eighth notes, you're in position to play them comfortably. But it is a little bit tricky the first time you try to play that, because it's not intuitive. It's intuitive to play 2 and 4 there, but then it gets you to this place where even if you put your thumb under like that, it's not in position for that D. So that's why I did the fingering there. And if that's tricky for you, this little practice technique where you play these first 4 eighth notes and then you pause right here in beat 3. Just pause right there and then repeat. Pause, repeat, pause. So it'd be like this. If this is an unusual movement for you, it's probably going to make these 2 fingers sore after a little bit, or tired anyway, because it forces you to use your weakest fingers for that planting for that next movement. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. There's 6 here at the end, which I've worked out the notation for, or the fingering for, so that again, it's as smooth as possible. You're of course welcome to change the fingering that I put in there. Just because that's the fingering I put in there doesn't mean you have to play it that way. Your hands are different sizes, and you're used to moving them differently than I do. The important part, and the point I want to make, is that you just are intentional about those parallel sixths and that you're not chopping them up. If you're unfamiliar with a dynamic followed by a sub period, it stands for subito, and it just means suddenly. So this little phrase here is supposed to grow. You're already at a forte dynamic. You land at measure 81 on the downbeat at a forte dynamic, but you all of a sudden get soft, and then you build back up to a fortissimo dynamic. So it's just a sudden, if I start here, the idea. Okay. It's not too difficult of an arrangement, and it's pretty straightforward. There's nothing super unusual or out of the box about it. So I hope this tutorial was helpful to you, and I will see you in the next one.